Hello and welcome to Dashco Group Development Update. We are here with the amazing platform, core, and mobile teams. And today we would like to give an update of what happened in the past 2 weeks. We will have a dedicated Q&A session at the very end. We are planning this session for 1 hour. So at the end, we will have a Q&A. So for that, please use the comment section, the live chat below, and use a Q or a question prefix for the questions you intend to have on the dedicated Q&A session.
Tamam.
And
Teşekkür.
without
Nasıl
further
diye
ado,
buluştun ha?
let's start. Ivan, please mute yourself. Without further ado, let's start with Sam, basically, with the platform teams.
You forgot what team it was, didn't you? Admit
Yeah.
it.
I admit.
Okay, guys. So let's go to the overview. Maybe start the full screen.
Yeah. Thank you.
So if anybody's interested just in how things are going, the first two slides are important. We had me, Ivan, Odysseus, and Paul basically on platform testing, reviewing, and fixes. Paul was also working on the TUI. Evgeny worked on the visualizer and the integration. And we had me and Paul that worked on fees a little bit, and that's done now as well. And Ivan that worked a little bit on Dashmate. Okay, cool. Let's go next. So how are we doing? Release is on 29th. I would very happy to say we are doing very well. And the release is on track to still be the 29th. So that's in less than a week. The developers probably are looking at me like in this call going, Sam, you're killing us. Yes, work harder. I wish I had like virtual whips. But yes, we're doing very well, and we will still be releasing on the 29th. As you can see, most things are done. We're still testing a little bit. The Evo node migration from core data to Dashmate is almost done as well, just not finished. So yeah, everything's going great. If that's all you cared about, you may leave now. But otherwise, we are going to talk about all the tasks that we did right now, basically. Oh, wait, there is another slide that you might be interested in. The accelerated release schedule. So we released Tender-1.0. We released GroveDB RC2. We did it as an RC2 because we were kind of afraid that there'd be like some small stuff that would happen in platform in the last 2 weeks of testing, and there were. So we're going to release the 1.0 final, basically 1.0 this week. We released beta 1 of Dashmate and platform, and now currently we're on beta 4. And we're releasing beta 5 tomorrow, which is probably actually, I think it's not even going to be beta 5. I think it's going to be RC1 tomorrow, which basically is the release candidate. And we will be releasing the full Dashmate on the 29th. So that's next slide.
So that's the quick summary.
Yeah, quick summary is done. Next slide. There we go. So these are some things I worked on. We actually had a really big issue in contested unique indexes. Once again, this was a very big PR. During testing, we found out that if it was actually just kind of an oversight, if there was a unique index and a contested unique index, you could have a situation where the unique index would overlap between people's unique indexes and it wasn't being tested And what would happen basically is if two people got something that conflicted for a secondary unique index, it's very complex to explain this stuff, but basically that's what happened. And if they would get conflicting things, platform would stall. So that's all been fixed now, and we no longer have that issue. So all good. Another thing that's not very important is that we changed the contract to make it so hyphens also cause contested documents in DPNS. So, for example, Coca-Cola would be contested. Small other tasks decompose into that's not important. We disabled credit withdrawals for the start of platform. Next slide. Just some refactoring, like versioning of action conversion. This was something that needed to kind of happen before release. Yeah, the second one as well. Just some small things, not very important. Rename drive query to drive document query just to make it more understandable. A lot of people were like, wait, the drive query doesn't do everything we want. No, the drive query was literally just for documents, and we have a lot of different queries for other things. Yeah, we did some stuff on fees. Actually, that's going to be in another slide. There was some very small work on GroveDB versioning. That's done as well now. This last one is actually very, very important. The rotate quorums when all quorum members have had a chance to propose a block. That's actually probably the most important thing in all of this list. It makes it now so Evo node payouts will be a lot smoother, and they should be more fair towards Evo node members. They're not going to be as fair as in core, just because of randomness. The way it will work in platform is every single time you propose a block, you get paid for it. Pretty much, not at that time, but at the end of the epoch. It counts all the blocks you proposed. To propose a block, you need to be in a quorum, and being in a quorum is random, but over the period, the distribution should be pretty even over a 9-day period. So, yes. This just makes things a little bit better, this work. Okay, next. Transient properties. This is something that I cared a lot about, but I never actually did because I didn't have time. It's actually a very small PR. It sounds very difficult, but it's only about 100 lines. A transient property is one that's sent to platform and is needed for validation, but should not be stored in the state. We had a transient property called the pre-order salt in DPNS, and I'm sure there will be other transient properties later in the system. They're important for validation, but they're not important after validation. So basically what transient property is just something that you have to send to platform for it to be accepted into the state as valid, but it can be discarded after validation. And the reason why this was done before V1 is that doing it after is actually just extremely complicated because it affects the serialization of data and the way data is serialized based off being transient or not. So it's in review. It's not for sure that it will be merged in because we need consensus on it, but I believe it's valuable. That is something I worked on. So, okay, moving on. GroveDB visualizer. Woohoo! Evgeny?
Hello.
Okay.
Two major things. One is integration is platform, and it requires some tweaks with build. So now it doesn't require any external dependencies, which is great. And the rest of my work for these 2 weeks were query builder and proof viewer. And current progress, I'm ready to share it now with you. Mm. So hopefully you can see the beauty. So what's changed? Let's say for this case, we want to query all identities, and for each identity, we can query subtree 1 to 8. And in that subtree, want to query field 0. So that's the task. What shall we do? We shall select identities as a subtree that will run our query on. It enables a query builder. It's a new feature, and it basically allows to build a query with your new browser to execute it further. Let's say we want to range full, then we query all identities. I know there are not many of them right now, so it's fine. And for each identity, you want to enable a default subquery. Each subquery will go onto 1 to 8, as I showed before, which is just a byte field. And for each of them, we want to query a key, which will be 0. So just like I show on the right, for each identity, we go deeper and deeper. So let's execute it. And we receive the proof. So for current version, the proofs are basically a hierarchy and text. We're also allowed to change the representation, as far as we know, 32 means identity. So the root proof proves the identity subtree, that it is there and has a hash, we know. And then for each layer, you can go deeper. And this actual Merk proof for identity subtree that proves all our identity subtrees. And for each of them, you can go even deeper and inspect. So for instance, we already know that you have an identity 9F. So it's out there. Yeah, here it is. And we can inspect the proof for that identity. So 1 to 8 is we also queried for it and go even deeper and so on. So that small tool allows us to query our GrooveDB with a query builder and inspect the virtual proof. Oh, I almost went off my breath to make it on time. Thanks for watching.
Very nice of Kenny.
Thank you.
And
Thank you
for
very
people
much.
that are watching, why this is very nice is because it will allow people to debug their contracts more easily, and to check to see if their contracts, the way they built them, are efficient or not. I mean, allow developers to do that.
Thank you for highlighting that.
Cool.
Paul or Sam, who would
Well-
kick us off with fees?
By the way, Evgeny, do you have a light mode for that?
No, Paul. No, no. Bad.
I'll show you later.
Yes.
That's for the next time.
Anybody who
Um,
uses light mode should be taken out in the back and shot. And that's on YouTube. Oh shit. Sorry, YouTube. That's not actually what I mean. There's no violence. Light mode is amazing. I think
Or
YouTube
would
has a
you-
light.
Yes. So last week I spent time doing benchmarks on different computations in platform to basically refine the fee numbers. So like we came up with costs for doing stuff like reading from disk, reading from memory, doing storage seeks, writing to disk, hashing and signature verifications. So basically, yeah, I did like benchmarks to get how long these like different operations take. And we defined like basically a credit number to the number of microseconds that each one takes. And yeah, that's how we figured out like what to set these processing fees to be. Um, and I also reviewed the storage fees. Um, Turns out to be basically the same as what we had originally figured 2 years ago. Well, but divided by like 10 because we're doing Evo nodes now instead of master nodes, and so there will be way less nodes. Um, yeah, so that felt great because when I started here at DCG, my first task was to work on the fee system, and now we're launching next week, and we have hard numbers and stuff. So yeah, that was fulfilling, and yeah, then the rest of this slide is Sam.
It's actually me and Odysseus, yes. So another task was having to do with the refactoring of the storage fees. It's all done. We don't need to talk about it. It's not interesting. Let's move on.
Yeah, okay. So I had a bunch of PRs open in Platform TUI and like masternode voting, NFTs, DPNS, and basically much better version of strategy tests. And I Evgeny reviewed all my PRs for me, and I made a bunch of fixes. Thank you, Evgeny, again. He pointed out a lot of improvements that could be made. Uh, so those are all merged into the TUI in the master branch. So there's a lot more functionalities. I also updated the TUI to the latest testnet version, which we hadn't updated it in like 2 months. So there was actually a lot of things to change there. And yeah, now basically from now until launch, I'm working on basically making some UX improvements, and also at the same time, just like running strategy tests on platform to try to identify some bugs and stuff. So yeah,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Odi?
Hello, guys. So the protocol version upgrade testing that I already explained on previous presentation was successfully completed. I don't want to go into details. The purpose was just to make sure that the voting of protocol versions and the actual platform upgrade is happening. So we are good with this. Can we go to the next slide, please? That one is on Ivan.
Yeah, we already talked a lot about this, and so in overall, we want to make secure the communication between. I started too quickly. Hello, everyone.
No, you're quickly is
yes.
good. Quickly is good.
Okay, I will continue then this way. And secure communication between the platform services and core. And the last work was done this sprint. Thank you, Kostya and core team. So now every service has own user and commands what they can do. And the last work needs to be done on the tender dash side. Lukasz is working on this right now. Instead of using quorum sign, which you can use with any type of the quorum and sign any data, the core guys introduced the special command that calls quorum platform sign. So you can sign only the platform quorums based on the network type. So for different network types, we have different platform quorums.
Platform,
and you
platform
cannot,
blocks.
yep. So you cannot specify the quorum type for this command. Yeah. So in Fill feel good about it. I believe core guys as well. Please, let's go to the next slide. Yeah, so we already talked about the beta testing that we released beta. It was some way to go. We deployed it first of all on DevNet, fixed some issues there. Then we did deployment on testnet. It was a little bit harder, more bugs, but the platform, the network itself is working. There is still no issue. It's a bug in JavaScript SDK, so you probably cannot connect to testnet right now with JavaScript SDK. Is it known issue? We're working on this right now, so don't worry, we will fix it soon. But the network itself, it is working. So chain is proceeding, all functionality is working. So it's just the client side issue for the JavaScript library, what we'll deliver soon today or tomorrow with beta 5. And the last part of the testing is what we call the real life testing on the bigger DevNet Molotov, what we call it, unfortunately, because it's actually explosive. So yeah, it's true. That's what's happening. So the goal is to make sure the platform gonna work on the actual size network. I mean, we can't deploy mainnet, right? But what is important is how many, what the size of the quorum, LMQ quorum, what we use for validators. So how many members participating to make the consensus, right? For voting, for proposing the blocks. This is like the crucial part, the core. And to do so, yeah, we need a bigger network, and we want to figure out what the params for mainnet we should use. We aren't going to do some optimizations and just fine tuning right now because we are on the accelerated release path. That's gonna be work for the future. Right now, we need to make sure it works. That's the main point. Yeah, so we spin up a new DevNet. It's we're running 134 even nodes. We use this number because so 100 nodes it's a quorum, and we want to see some how it's rotating, and how master nodes, which are not part of the current validator set, joining this validator set, and add the rest, and some of them leaving. So how rotation is working, and we want to use the normal block time, like 2.5.6 minutes actually, and the params which is closer to the mainnet. Next slide, please. Yeah, and so the testing will look like we already actually activated this fork. So now we're waiting for the activation of EHF. It should happen tomorrow morning, my morning. And so the platform should activate as it was done on DevNet and testnet. It was some issue with the restarting of the containers. We made a fix, so we expecting this time everything should be fine with activation and of the tender dash container. It's not gonna fail. And we're gonna do like some functional testing, like run platform test suite to make sure that all functionality is working, like contracts, documents, identities, all this stuff, like the working as expected. And yeah, we're gonna run basically some kind of real life testing thing, the strategy test that will create different broadcast different state transitions. So it will create identities, data contracts, submit documents of these data contracts, and do like withdrawals probably. I'm not sure. I know, probably not withdrawals, but some actions. So Paul is working on this right now, and we're gonna run query testing as well. So we not just broadcasting transactions, but we doing queries, and so we're gonna look at the logs, metrics, and see like everything working as expected. That's a final touch, final test, like to make sure that we are ready for mainnet. Thank you. Oh yeah, there was a couple of fixes for Dashmate. Important part from this slide is that we announced that last time that import core data is done in Dashmate. Yes, but there is an issue if some indexes weren't enabled in your previous core setup. Then your node won't start in Dashmate, and we need to reindex core in this case. So this work in progress, and we also announced that we did speed up some optimization for Dashmate to run this Dashmate command faster 4 times is in review. We decided to postpone it for the further versions because it's too many changes there in this PR, and we just don't have time to make it perfect to merge. So I mean, to test, basically, you need to test everything in Dashmate what you have, because everything is changed. So that's why we decided to go postpone it for 1.1, or maybe further. We will decide. So this is not crucial thing to be in V1. Balázs, please, next slide. Huh? I'm getting faster than you expected, Balázs, right?
Pardon? I think
I'm
we have a lag.
Ivan, faster.
Okay.
Oh,
So
yeah.
Backup infrastructure. If you say no laughing, I start laughing. Yeah, we had the issue with CI. The sprint, it was down for several days. So yeah, we helped infrastructure team to fix that. So it took our time, and it was a little bit stressful because it was right before the release, so he wasn't able to merge PRs and release. But currently all good. We made a backup solution, so everything is fine. It's working now. So we decided to, the next thing, we decided to reduce the max block gas according to our previous stress testing, what we did like a few months ago. We reduced it 3 times. So I think if you're talking about this simple document batch transitions, it should contain about like 600 right now in the block. So the problem was that if we go with the current value, then the blocks become too slow, and that affects the user experience. So basically on mobile, when you click the button make a contract, you could wait too long if you have too much traffic, but I don't think we're gonna have too much traffic, to be honest. I mean, 1,700 transactions per block, but still, it's easier to change now. Yeah, we have the bug. I already talked about it. With restarting containers, it fixed. Also, some security measurements. For example, don't use the interface 000 as default one and drive ABCI. Updated the drive activation process because previously it used the V20 fork. Some minor fixes, and the important one probably which was one of the conclusions of the chain halt investigation, recovery investigation, is a mechanism to provide the changes to the platform in between of the protocol upgrade. So since protocol upgrade can happen only on the epoch change, so every I don't remember, 8 days or something like this on mainnet. And please correct me if I'm wrong, Sam. And since we could have a bug, what we need to fix now, so we need to provide some hot fix. And even more, probably the state was broken due to this bug. We should be able to, based on specific block height, we should be able to apply change the
Ivan, let me
code
just stop.
logic branch depends on the height. So what we call the version patching. And the same about the migration. So block based on the height, we can run the specific logic that change the data in the state. So the idea of this task to build the tooling for this. So now if you have this problem, we can easily create the patches and migrations. So that's what we need for fixing. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you.
You. Ori?
I would like to just add very quickly that when he says we, it doesn't mean DCG, it means the network can issue an update.
Yes,
Thank you.
we all.
Yeah, some extra tasks that I work on. So we saw that on startup, a platform does GroveDB verification. So this could take much time when the GroveDB will get bigger and bigger. So we decided to enable it only via configuration for later use. We can. Sorry?
That was merged in.
Okay.
Done.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. And I am currently investigating an issue on JavaScript-core library regarding simplified masternode list serialization. So we want probably to have this fixed before the release. Yeah, that's all from my remaining tasks. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ori. And let's continue with
Wow,
the core team and
it's only
pasta.
been 35 minutes and I'm already up. What is going on today? Anyway, all right. Well, I guess I have more time today to talk about stuff. So, obviously version 21 is coming up, so we are kind of wrapping up development on that. A recent thing that got included in that was mainnet spork hardening. So, we're basically hardening all of the sporks on mainnet, and no one will be able to issue any sporks on mainnet anymore. We're going to keep them around for devnets and testnets. They're pretty helpful over there, but on mainnet, we really never need to use them, and it's better to just kind of get rid of those. So that got merged in today. That'll be a part of version 21. Otherwise, everything on version 21 is the same. We are continuing work on version 22, potentially version 21.1. Main things we're working on there is BIP324, assume UTXO, similar kind of stuff we've been working towards. Actually made some good progress towards C++ 20 in these last 2 weeks.
One of the main blockers for that is getting rid of a library called Boost, or at least minimizing our usage of a library called Boost. And one of the big parts of that was Boost file system. And we've been able to move over to standard file system, which is part of the C++ standard. So that's a good change. Getting rid of Boost helps compile time, helps us move to C++20, which is good all around. It just takes a lot of refactoring and changing stuff. So Kitty Whiskers is doing a good job with that stuff. And we're moving forward with version 21.1 and version 22, even while we're in the release process for version 21. So we can move to the next slide now. And so here, just going over a little bit of what we did for testing. So we had two DevNets that we were doing testing on. We started them out on version 20.1 and version 20.04. And then we migrated both of them to version 21. We made sure EHF activates as expected. The compatibility remained there. Chain locks, instance end, all that fun stuff worked. And on both the DevNets, we did not experience any issues. We didn't see anything problematic happen. So that is all good. DevNet testing went very well. We released RC1 on the 4th, and RC2 got released a little while later on the 17th. And both of those release candidates were tested on testnet. I think about half were on RC1 and the other half were on RC2. We kept some nodes on version 20 to make sure, we had backwards compatibility, proof of service banning was working, everything like that. And at this point, we've completed our planned testing process for version 21, at least from Core's perspective. And we didn't detect any issues on testnet. We're continuing to monitor, make sure everything is going well, but version 21 deployed well. Everything went a-okay and just as expected. Version 21 doesn't include a ton of major breaking features. We tried to keep it very minimal to minimize risk while still delivering valuable features. So a lot of the stuff that we were testing, we've tested in previous release cycles, but we wanted to test it again since this version is when it's actually activating, and we wanted to make sure we didn't break anything in the meantime. Looking forward now, we're planning to release an RC3 pretty imminently. We will probably upgrade some of the testnet nodes to it, but probably not all of them. RC3 is planned to be exactly the same as the final version 21. We're going to start building final version 21 in the next day or two, but we're going to get RC3 out just before that. That way we can deploy it to a couple of environments and make sure everything is good there. We are still expecting version 21 final on July 29th. We'll probably actually have it built before then, but it's going to be going live on GitHub on the 29th. So yeah, I think we can move on to the next slide here. And speaking of releasing version 21, I wanted to go over a bit of the timeline around what that's going to look like, at least from Core's perspective. Hopefully we'll be able to provide some more information on this in release notes or product briefs or supplemental information after release is done to monitor this progress. But this hard fork and this activation actually goes back all the way to when we released version 20. Right, version 20 included the MNRR hard fork and the enhanced hard forking process. And since version 20, miners have been signaling their active readiness for this MNRR hard fork. Right, so that's another thing to emphasize. Version 21 and version 20 are not incompatible. Everyone does not need to upgrade to version 21. Masternodes do need to upgrade. It is a mandatory release for masternodes, but miners, exchange partners, everything like that are only recommended to upgrade to version 21. It is not strictly required. They will not hard fork off or anything like that. And we saw that in all of our testing. They all remained in sync, and even now on testnet, they version 20, version 20.04, 21.1, all are remaining synced with version 21. So miners have been signaling readiness for the MNRR hard fork. Right now, that means nothing. The thing that needs to happen is masternodes have to upgrade to version 21. As soon as masternodes upgrade to version 21, once about 75% of masternodes have upgraded, that is when we'll start getting proof of service bans. This is an automatic process. It is not controlled by DCG or Core or Dash Core group whatsoever. This is completely automatic. We cannot delay when it happens or anything like that. So as soon as 75% of masternodes upgrade, whether that's in 2 days or 2 weeks, if you haven't upgraded yet, you're going to start seeing proof of service bans, and of course that can affect your payments. So you want to be monitoring the upgrade, and once a significant amount of the network has upgraded, you should upgrade, or you're going to start missing out on payments and getting proof of service banned. Once even more masternodes upgrade, they will begin automatically voting for the MNRR hard fork. Again, this is not something that is controlled or influenced at all by anything. It is completely automatic. Once 85% roughly of masternodes have upgraded, the MNRR hard fork will move from the defined state to the started state at the beginning of the next cycle. So the first cycle that we're going to see is beginning on July 29th. And so roughly 7 days after that, that'll be August 5th, right around. August 5th is the first time that the hard fork can move into the started state. And that's assuming that masternodes update very quickly. But if masternodes upgrade to 85% by roughly August 5th, we should see this happen. And so August 5th, it will move into the started state. And then 1 week later, so what, that'll be around August 12th, roughly the 12th, it will move from the started to locked in state. This doesn't really need anything to happen. Normally, what would be required here is miners would need to signal. We do not expect that to be an issue because even version 20 will signal for the MNRR hard fork. And so we're not, in theory, a miner could tell their node not to signal, but as long as miners are not taking a proactive stance to not activate the MNRR hard fork, we expect that this will happen in exactly one cycle. And so again, 1 cycle is 1 week. So on the what I said, the 12th, it will move into a locked in state. And then 1 week after that, so we're looking at the 19th, that is when the hard fork will move from locked in to active. And so the 19th will be, assuming everything, happens as quick as possible, which it's really up to the masternodes how quickly everything happens. The quicker they upgrade, the quicker this happens. The 19th is the earliest date that the hard fork will move from locked in to active. So when it moves to active, the new rules are actually in effect. And so Evo nodes will only be paid once. The reward reallocation will happen, moving funds into platform, into the credit pool, and platform hopefully will activate. So after that point, it is no longer Core's problem. It's no longer Core's perspective. So I'm not going to speak to any of that stuff, but that is what the release and activation timeline is going to look like. I'm hopeful that we'll be able to provide more information around this, put this into maybe a product brief or something like that. But this is what the timeline looks like, and Core's ready for releasing on the 29th. So look forward to that. I think we're good.
Yay!
We should be able to move on to mobile, unless anyone else has anything that they want to add on this topic.
No, just great work from the core team. It's all coming together.
Yeah,
Awesome.
thank you very much. All right. And do you want to talk about the merge PRs?
Yeah, I guess. So we did have quite a few merge PRs this last 2 weeks. I think it was roughly 25 is what we counted. Someone can count these and check my math. That's what Constantine told me earlier today. So that's pretty good. What, 14 days, 25 PRs? That's over 2 PRs a day. And you look at some of these. The one in the top left had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 backports in it, right? So these are pretty significant and substantive pull requests, even if they don't strictly do a bunch of user-facing features. So really good work in the last 2 weeks. I am really proud of Constantine and Kitty Whiskers and the whole team for having a really solid 2 weeks. So yeah, we're looking forward to the 29th, and we'll be getting RC3 out in just a day or two, and then on the 29th, the version 21 final will be released. So thanks.
Good job. Mobile.
Yeah.
Right.
Hi, folks. Thanks, Pasta. Everybody. So yeah, on the Android side, we had a bit of rollover in the sprint, but more work went on with the the Java SDK. We also took a look at all the work that Sam had done on the voting system on platform to see how that aligns with what we've already built on mobile. So we did identify a few things that we have to make some updates for there. We have a top-up warning that we had planned on doing. It's probably not going to be absolutely necessary for probably at least another year or two. We just wanted to be playing it on the safe side just to make sure we had a mechanism in place if our fee estimates are off. Did some work on the error handling for DashPay username creation in particular, and as was just discussed, preparing for the Core V21 update, both on Android and you'll see on iOS as well. So keep an eye out for that. All the activations and various milestones that Pasta just laid out. We want to get ahead of that, so make sure you keep an eye out for that upgrade on Android and iOS, so that you don't have any disruption there. Can move on to iOS there. So a lot of activity on iOS and Rust. I won't get into too much detail on the Rust side, but it's the same story there. Lots of work going on the macros and getting iOS prepared for DashPay recovery, I'll call it. Same top-up warning there. And on CoinJoin, there was a kind of a major review of all the messaging flows that have been built so far, a little bit of refactoring going on there. And then, just some minor bugs and improvements on Dash Wallet. So that's pretty much it on mobile.
And thank you very much, Brian. Thanks for the teams. As I'm looking in the live chat, I don't see any question. Guys, do you have anything else that you would like to highlight? Just
Excellent. Let's get to work.
Yeah, let's get back to work. This is the fastest review ever. Bye, everybody.
Yeah.
See you guys in a week.
One question though for Brian.
Oh.
Is DashSpend still on track to be released with DashPay?
So DashSpend has never been aligned with DashPay. We are still kind of waiting on a few fixes on the back end side from CTX. So once all that is done, we'll be able to get into some of our final testing. We did make a little bit of progress on this sprint, but we're blocked currently, just waiting for some of the back end fixes to be made. But there's no correlation between DashSpend and DashPay. As soon as we're ready for DashSpend, that'll get released to Dash Wallet. Most likely, DashSpend will be going out and released to Dash Wallet before DashPay is released. And maybe a little more context with DashPay in correlation with everything else that you just heard with Core and Platform. DashPay is essentially going to be one of the last steps, in this whole process, I'd say, as far as things being activated and available to users. I'll let Sam probably on a later episode of this go through some of those, finer details, but DashPay will be one of the last steps. That's it.
Thank you very much. If no other question, thanks everybody for joining, for the feedbacks, for the encouragement, and let's get back to work. See you in 2 weeks. We will discuss that when we will have the next update and let you know. Thank you. Have a great day. See you guys.